for the Colts. I don't know. One of those two teams, obviously, are the only two teams remaining to really contend for that division. Jacksonville, an outside shot, but they're going to need some help there. But I do expect a lot of chaos between now and the end of the season out of the AFC. Looking at the NFC, pretty much a lot of things are figured out at this point. Carolina's going to be the number one seed into the playoffs. I think they just need really one more win, or at least two more wins to lock everything up here. At this point, once they go 14-0, they'll be fine. Arizona Cardinals 11-2. Again, they're another team that, again, while they're still not as good as Carolina, they're a dangerous team. And if they get a first-round bye, I expect them to do damage just to get everyone healthy. Green Bay, it just really hasn't been their season. And again, if by that, I mean, that means going 9-4 and still being a number 3 seed, that's still a pretty good season, if you ask me. And the number 4 seed, the Redskins. Huge game against the Bills on Sunday to see if they can continue to do what they need to do and win games here, because they're in a 3-way tie with Philadelphia and New York at 6-7 for the division here. So realistically, I think the first one to 8 wins wins this division. So for Washington, let's take a look at their schedule to see what they have closing out. It should be pretty good. Again, I know they play the Bills on Sunday at home. They play at Philadelphia, probably arguably a bigger game, and then they finalize it at Jerry World on January 3rd against the Cowboys. Realistically speaking, I can see them going 3-0. Because when they play the Bills, they're going to be at home, and Kirk Cousins is a much better quarterback than he is at home than when he is on the road. The Eagles are another hot team I really don't want to run into, just because for some reason Chip Kelly has figured it out in terms of how to overcome these offensive issues. And again, he's been able to put some points on the board. In that game against the Bills, again, with Shady McCoy coming back, it was probably a big deal for Philadelphia just as much as it was for him. And winning that game in his first game back in another uniform was pretty interesting. For Philadelphia, they go to the Cardinals, they go to the Redskins, or they are at home to the Cardinals, at home to the Redskins, and away to the Giants. It's going to be a tough game against the Cardinals. Look, if the Philadelphia Eagles can squeak one out against the Cardinals, it's going to be really tough the rest of the way. Realistically speaking, for the Eagles, I can see them going 1-2. Maybe they're one win coming at the Giants at the last game of the season. But man, I mean, if you're going to Arizona, even when you're still playing at home, which is going to be a primetime game actually on Sunday night, it's still a huge task. I mean, for Arizona, they're a team that's been fantastic. Again, Carson Palmer having a really good season thus far. He's essentially a top 3 candidate for MVP, along with Cam Newton and Tom Brady for MVP. Again, playing Washington at home is probably going to be huge. So maybe they get a win there. And again, maybe the Giants, I don't know. It depends on what the scenario looks like at that point. They may just want to toss this one to get a higher draft pick for next season, depending on how the situation goes. And then finally, the New York Giants. Out of all three, they have obviously the best home run threat in the league, and arguably the best wide receiver in the league in Odell Beckham Jr. He continues to be amazing, regardless of the offensive line issues, regardless of their inefficiency at running back. They haven't had a really healthy number 2 in quite some time. So again, it's really the Odell Beckham Jr. show in New York. Huge game against Carolina at home on Sunday. It'll be interesting now to see how Josh Norman, the cornerback of Carolina, takes on Beckham. That's probably going to be an interesting matchup. If you're going to watch anything, that would be the matchup to watch. Just because that's going to be an all-out brawl in terms of just physicality and just a really good matchup to watch. And then they go to Minnesota. Whew. And Minnesota's a team that realistically has been reeling with injuries and just not been performing as well. They're slipping in the 6th seed. And again, granted, they still have a 2-game advantage, but this is a must-win for Minnesota if they want to solidify a playoff spot at this point. I think one other win here, and they're pretty much in the driver's seat to clinch a playoff berth at this point, along with Seattle, who's also at 8-5. Because after that, you look at Tampa Bay, who's playing tonight. They're down to St. Louis, so that's going to be huge. In Atlanta, another 6-7 team, so that's just not good for them. So who do I expect to win this division? Realistically, it's probably going to be Washington. They just have two opponents that probably are a little easier to win in Buffalo and Dallas than Philadelphia. I mean, Philadelphia, you have New York and you have the Cardinals. And for New York, again, you have the Panthers and Vikings even before you play the Eagles. So my prediction there, Washington to clinch that division really easy there. So that's just NFL talk. So again, that's a really, really long segment. But hey, this is the first of many segments tonight. So when we come back, I will go talk about the Texas A&M QB situation and go through the bowl games, at least the most important ones for me. So I may have to do like only 10. So I'll just look at what it is during the break and find the songs, find the matchups that really are best moving forward. So I'm actually going to go see a concert on Saturday, so I'm really excited. Here is their song that's probably going to be the most popular hit of all on Saturday night. Mad Zoe, along with Porter Robinson, Easy on the Spicy Sports Show with Sam Cerrone on Spreaker Radio. back at the Spicy Sports Show with Sam Stern, coming to you live from Chicago, Illinois. Almost 8:30 local time here, 9:30 out on the East Coast, 6:30 back on the West Coast. So college football. Two stories, of course. The first one will be Texas A&M. That is the biggest of the two. I mean, don't get me wrong, college football season, I'll go through all the bowl games. But the biggest one for me, Texas A&M, they're a program that moved to the SEC, and they did damage early. A lot of it was Johnny Manziel. And after he left, there's been several QBs. But it may be, honestly, that the QB hype at Texas A&M, having to live up to those expectations, is starting to, grasp this program. So freshman Kyler Murray has elected to transfer and won't play in the Aggies bowl game. He was the starter. And he's released from a scholarship at A&M, and he can transfer to any school as long as it isn't from the SEC or a team on the A&M schedule over the next 4 years. And of course now Kyle Allen, who started 14 games a year ago, and another top quarterback, also transferred from A&M, and this is the guy who essentially took over for Manziel after he left for the NFL. And it's interesting now seeing how this is arguably the worst season for Texas A&M offensively in the last couple of years.